Hello, sweet friends, and welcome to The Way Through. I'm your host, Bonnie Worth, and today is an extra special show. I've got an entourage of guests here with me today, women who are a part of an upcoming book that we are collaborating in, which will be published now coming up in December, called Elevated Resilience. Rise strong through life's challenges. Each of these women are contributing authors with phenomenal, not just stories, but insight, perspective, and just it felt like just such an important conversation to bring them into the weekly show here to share their insight with you. Just again, looking at how the many ways in which we can navigate life, and especially when we are in a place of where it feels impossible or difficult to speak our truth. And I know many of you tuning in can really relate to that as well. I know it's certainly something that I had to work through along my healing journey was being able to speak my truth, share my story, to give voice to not just these things that happened to me in the past, but my perspectives, my beliefs. And it takes a lot for us to move through the barriers and blocks in order to give the freedom for our expression in our life and expression, whether that be in a professional nature or even just in the mix of our personal lives as well. So I love that we get to be here. Each of these women have expressed their truth in this book, and we're going to be talking about what that freedom brings here, how it the liberation that is formed, and more importantly, how it is that we maybe can offer insight and even some steps for you to take your journey into speaking more fully into your truth as well. So, thank you, ladies. This is so exciting to have all four of you here today. I'm excited to introduce Patricia Scott, Rita Herperger, Mary Driver, and Barry Tegade, who are four of the authors. I have more authors coming in onto next week's show. Ladies, thank you so much. I know we're coming in from around the world, different time zones, and I love that we all get to be here today together. So we're doing a little bit of a roundtable conversation here, and so I just want to, first off, just really acknowledge each of you from my heart, just in knowing the witnessing and knowing what this writing your story for this book has meant, the challenges as well as the I would say I'll go back to that word liberation of how it feels to have written this and allowed this to come through you through the Writer from Within program. So Patricia, please come, into the conversation. And if you want to share a little bit here too, how did you writing the story for this book maybe change your perspective or deepen your understanding of yourself?
It's a really large question because this was a really deep and very profound experience for me. Because what I chose a story of grief, a story of loss. And the way I understood that loss at the beginning was that my emotions and my response to that loss was inconvenient for a lot of people. And because it was inconvenient for others, it was also inconvenient for me. And I kept second, third, fourth, fifth guessing myself. And when I started to write this story, I thought that I had the perspective of, as a society, as a culture, we do not acknowledge grief. And that is in the story. But what it what the story came from to mean to me is that I forgave myself. I forgave myself for having inconvenient emotions, of not being understood, of not really even understanding my own process of grief. Through the writing of it, I I broke down dozens of times. I cried, I laughed, I threw pages and pages and pages of stuff away. It was a really, really deep process. And I'm so grateful for this process because what I've come up out of with throughout this whole process is my own forgiveness. is of myself for sure, understanding that I had and have a very deep love for this person that I lost. And so my grief was legitimate, but I also came out with the forgiveness of other people who could not show up for me and when I was actually going through the process. And so there was 2 layers of grief there. And what I really get from it, I mean, if I was to say it in one sentence, is I am a very strong human being, and I'm a very strong woman,
Mm.
and, owning my emotions and whether they're convenient or not, is has become part of who I am right now. I got legitimate. My grief was legitimized and my emotional body was legitimized. And that feels absolutely amazing.
Mm. Oh my gosh, I'm really emotional just listening to you reflect upon that because this is really what comes down to when we look at, when we speak our truth, what happens, and that's what you did through your writing. You were speaking to things that were truth inside of you that you had never maybe offered any attention to previously, and for you to come away and go like, wow, like I am a strong woman, and they just, there is, and I mentioned that word at the start of it, just that liberation that comes from it. Do you feel like you're more grounded in who you are now?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I absolutely. And because of other trauma that I've had in my life, I don't occupy my body all the time. And since this, I am so much more at home in my body, in my life. Grounding my life is really being grounded in my life and being grounded in my emotional body has, you know, and have it all be right. Have it all be a yes. I mean, it's an amazing feeling. Yeah, I
Mm.
feel that I gathered pieces back to myself that I had lost. Yeah.
Oh, I love
Mm.
that so much. So beautiful. Oh my gosh. Thank you, Patricia.
Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. And I really, as you're talking and the things that you're reflecting and that you've reflected on, I'm really looking, even for my own self, what writing does for me, how it's allowed me to go to those places that maybe I have never allowed myself to take a look at before. And it's a part of my nature too, just to kind of brush it off, move forward and be strong and I've had to teach myself to stop, to reflect, to be present, and to be in my body. And that's one of the biggest things here too. When we know we are safe in our body, we're grounded in our
Yeah.
bodies, it really brings a whole different presence to our life and really how we interact with people even around us. Yeah.
Absolutely. I totally agree.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh my gosh. Amazing. Amazing. Rita, thank you. Rita Herberger, thank you so much for, of course, being here as well. Your story is very powerful. It's called Course Closer to the Heart. This was a big one for you. And I think like every author coming in to this, where you begin to speak and bring forward things inside of yourself that maybe you've held on to for, a part of your life. I'm really curious for you what hope do you really have for readers based on your contribution, based on what you went through in your own writing process, and what you really hope the reader gets out of their engagement with your story?
Yeah, that's a great question, Bonnie. Closer to the heart is really about my belief that the only way you can heal is when you do move closer and start doing things from heart center. And I honestly believe the only way that can happen is if you start to address yourself um, with more love, with more compassion, see the wholeness of you within body, mind, and spirit, and how having all three of those aspects of us balanced is the only way we can begin to heal. I really believe that. My healing came when I recognized that, yeah, I had my mind sharp. I was doing what, I was reading, I was, going to university, I was doing all that kind of stuff. The body part was, yeah, we're all, we all like potato chips for breakfast. But when I realized that my spirituality had been flailing and I didn't know what it was, I didn't have a clue. And, I'd speak about holism. I'd encourage people to live a whole life. And I really recognized that I needed to walk the walk if I was going to talk the talk.
Mm.
So closer to the heart, I'm hoping that the readers really begin. They have in their healing. I couldn't have done it otherwise.
Yes. I think you speak this is so eloquently in how you've put this, Rita, is the very fact that, and I can say even for myself, and I'm sure for a lot of listeners tuning into today's show as well, where we get focused and as you said, your mind was sharp. You were doing the best possible care of yourself that you knew how. And there was that disconnect from the spiritual self, from your source, from what really was your truth in it. And that was, that's a big piece of being able to show up in the greatest form of authenticity. And I know, what was that like for you when you look at, how did you discover that truth inside of you? I mean, speaking that truth is one thing, but how did you discover that inside of you?
Well, I guess this is gonna let the cat out of the bag, but Bonnie, you were a huge inspiration to me. Uh, you know, uh, for those that don't know, Bonnie is my baby sister. So, watching her, listening to the things you said, Bonnie, to, your own experiences, the things that you were uncovering, helped me to find the courage to begin to look for my own and to really, honor who I am spiritually. A huge part of that meant leaving, the church because it didn't fit for me. I felt I remember going to the church when it was empty and just begging for an answer, like, "Where do I belong?" And I found it outside the church. I found it, in my connection, to Creator on my terms, not told how I'm supposed to do it, but what is right for me. I learned, and I learned that opening myself up to my gifts, seeing this beautiful, strong woman who I've known my whole life step forward through horrible stuff as well.
Mhm.
And that, it was honestly, Bonnie, it was by watching you. I need to say that because I've said that in another interview. You were kind of my mentor, the woman that's, I'm thinking, if Bonnie can do this, if she can find that peace, then it's out there for me as well.
Oh my gosh. Okay, well, I'm not supposed to cry on the show, not like totally. Thank you. That's beautiful. And I think this is again when we look at your impact, and this is when we look at all the stories in this book, is looking to all the women before who've come before us, all the women who have been through the challenges in life that seem almost impossible, and to look around us. And this book again, being this inspiration of hope to saying if we can do it, they can do it. Everything. I have one more question for you in all of this because I mean, obviously I know you well, but one of the things here too, that fear of truly being seen in this truth, Rita, that was, I know that this is a challenge, and this is a challenge for me. This is a challenge for so many women. And so, what advice do you have for them when they look at this, overcoming kind of that fear to really move forward, to live from that heart space?
Well, the fear is still there. I do have trepidation, with some people who might read the story. There is that fear there. What what keeps me moving and keeps me motivated is the realization that this is my truth.
Yeah.
This is mine. It is not, I'm not told how to tell it. I'm giving what I know to be true for me, my experiences, and what anybody else thinks of that, that's for them to figure out, not for
Yeah.
me.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, see, that's such an important message for everyone tuning in. This is it. When you are speaking your truth, when you are fully embracing that truth, this is about you, your relationship with your creator, your relationship with that everything's good in your soul. And so how it impacts, we can only do it from a place and again, it's closer to the heart, this heart space, that you're doing it from a place of love. And that becomes what matters most
And
than
and
everything. So
that's just it, Bonnie. It is the intention. What was my intention with my writing? It
mm,
wasn't to hurt anybody. My intention was to say, you know what? Every woman has gone through what every woman in this book has gone through to some degree,
yeah,
right? There might be details that are different,
yeah,
but I think, if we can show up as leaders and say, "You know what? I've healed myself, and once I heal myself, look at what we have here to heal our world."
yeah.
Because I
Mm,
believe that women are the answer
mhm.
to healing our world, and we need to step forward. We've been afraid too long.
Yeah.
So if I couldn't be afraid of my story.
Mhm. Right. Whew, I have goosebumps,
Me
right?
too.
Wow.
Right?
Yeah.
Not be afraid of our own stories, right? Wow. Oh my gosh. Thank you, Rita. I'm going to bring into the conversation here now Mary Driver. Hi, Mary. I know that you
I
have felt like you wanted to write for a very, very long time in your life, and you have a very emotional story as well. I don't. In fact, I know every single one of these stories in this book are all deeply emotional stories. When you look back to your journey in writing your story, in speaking your truth, and being able to move beyond the barriers that maybe were there, maybe it was shame, and maybe it was fear that sat there, maybe it was, you just felt trapped in it. When you look at to the emotional person, that you are, this loving person that you were prior to writing your story. What emotions were happening before you wrote your story, and what's it like for you now that your story has come out of you?
wow, that's a lot of stuff. Uh, probably, wow. Um, what's it like now that it's come out of me? Well, first and foremost, I think my main reason for writing the book or the story, because a book is going to follow, is for my daughters. Just because I wanted them to understand what I've been through, and that if I can do it, anybody can get through it.
Yeah.
But a lot of the stuff, yes, there was shame and there was fear of judgment and fear of rejection. All of that stuff kept releasing itself slowly in layers in my life. And when I wrote the book, it was like a huge release of those layers. Now, and as Rita had said, self-love, because I carried a lot of shame still with a lot of my past. And I just felt like the freedom that came from that, and the release, and learning to love myself and not be afraid to speak my truth. And I loved what Rita said about it's my truth, because yes, I have the fear as well that I'm going to be judged, because I was in a religious cult and escaped from that. And and so there's so much religious dogma. And I was in the church as well as, and kept searching and searching and searching and trying to fit into this little box that I I just couldn't fit in. And finding my truth, and not to be ashamed of it. This is my truth. This is what um God or the universe or the goddess or divine means to me. And I know that that's taking away from the story. I'm kind of going back into the more spiritual realm.
It's all a part of the story.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and just the pain of rejection was probably the biggest wounding that I had from my past. And realizing that if I love myself, it doesn't matter. Let your reputation take care of itself, and what other people think of you is none of your business. All the things.
Yes.
So
Yes. Yes. Oh my goodness. I think it's so beautiful that you kind of moved into this with the intention, like, I'm gonna write this to be a part of this collaboration for my daughters to be able to share this, to bring this out so that they can have a better understanding. But I think it's so poignant in the fact of your understanding of yourself now that it's like I'm no can no longer exist in that rejection or fear of rejection because I completely love and accept myself. And that in and of itself is such a transformation.
and also that I have a choice in, I always say, don't get bitter, get better.
Yeah.
And I think every day I wake up and realize I have a choice. I consciously smile when I wake up in the morning, because I used to wake up with feelings of dread and just, oh my God, what's the day going to hold? And I don't know, I just woke up with an anxiety. And when even just a small act of smiling sends a message to your brain and to your body to, oh, it's okay. And your body picks up on those messages. And I could feel myself physically reacting and this almost say, choosing this is going to be a good day. And no matter what happens, this is going to be a good day. And that we are so eh, we are so blessed in this world and even our stories are a blessing because they've taught us so much, and we can in turn around and not judge other people. And because that was another thing, I was worried about being judged because I had a lot of shame from my past,
Right.
and learning not everybody has a story, and there's no point in, you can't, and it's human nature, it seems like, to just want to judge other people. And does it make us feel better because we look at somebody's, you're not as good as me? But learning to just judge and love people where they're at, and we're all there along the route. And I'm so thankful for the people that didn't give up on me and just kept going and reaching out, and I use their mentorship as an example to try and be like that too.
Yes.
But
Yes.
anyway,
I love what you said, I think too, and it just speaks volumes when we look at we can consider the world today of what's going on in the world, and there is a lot of anxiety out there. There is a lot of trepidation. We all are dealing maybe with our own stuff, our own stories, and understanding of self. But we can take this under, when we look at the oneness of what exists around us and seeing that on the much larger scale, that simplicity, and I say the power of simplicity of what you just spoke of, that choice to wake up in the morning to smile, and that it was a choice you were making every single day, but it was a visceral choice because you said you were feeling it in your body.
hmm
And
and
it's
that's one of the, sorry,
no, that's
that was
okay.
one of the things I learned as I wrote the book. I felt release, like physical pain released in my body, because
Yes.
I've read the book, The Body Keeps the Score, and I can't
Yes.
think of his name right now, but uh, physical pain literally rose to the surface. I looked at it and then I let it go. I didn't dwell on it, but I gave thanks for not only seeing the pain, but being able to release it. And also, what the words that are coming into my head lately, in this particularly the last week, is rising above, and rising above to get a bigger perspective. Looking down on what's happening in your life may seem like, oh my gosh, everything's ending, I'm going to die. But, rising above and getting a perspective from, and seeing everything and realizing, okay, what is this supposed to teach me? Where is it? Where are we going? And in light of eternity, it's a really small speck. And I know that's easy to say,
Mm.
especially like if you've been diagnosed with, say, cancer or something like that. But you just got to trust the universe. It has your back, and everything is working out for your good. And I strongly believe that.
Yes. Yes. You and me both. You and me both. I love that. And it is perspective is everything. And we can look at, especially when, we've had, hardship in the past. We've had bad things that have happened. You can the wounding, the traumas, the things that occur in every none of us is, runs unscathed in this life from something bad happening. And so being able to kind of move out of that victim standpoint where we are victims of circumstance
Yes.
and just shifting that perspective to going, I have a choice here and I can look at a bigger perspective and I can trust that there is something that's good. And you said it earlier. It's like to recognize and really, and I could hear the emotion when you said it of just how blessed we are. Because we are blessed in so many ways, but we do forget it. And so I think it's such a powerful truth for you to even just share that here for everyone as a reminder. It was a definite reminder for me. So thank you. Thank you. Barry Tagade. Barry is coming. Oh my gosh, girl. I hope that you are really proud of your story and of what you contributed. I know that for you, sharing your story, sharing this truth, bringing out from inside of you some of the, your perspectives, that wasn't an easy process for you, love.
Yeah, it was quite it was quite the battle. But that was I wouldn't change it for the world. I've been doing a thesis on my life for, I guess, ever since I just got cognition that that's what I was doing, observing myself and what that self really entails, and that there is a high self, a middle self, and a low self, and just observing that through my own experience and coming across wise teachers like you, and kind of finding that resonance that just helps build the puzzle together. And I've I've chiseled a lot. So at least I thought until the
Mm.
invitation of joining the Writer Within came. And that was again another appointment, so to speak, that in the order of my experience of what I have gone through, that I had to live, it's not finished. That life just continuously evolves and expands. And so the invitation of writing with such beautiful women and being guided by you and Michael, it was profound. It validated that our life has an order, our life has a timing, and that we're not just one note, we're all notes, and that there is always more. And so, and it's related. Realizing that how everyone else accessed their story was different from myself, and also coming to realize that in that there is really no comparison, that each of us
Mm.
are authentic, and we are now in the epoch or the age of artificialness, but before the artificial came all of this, and then here we are, we're now amidst the the this new reality of everything is just being generated by a machine. And my point is, it's wild that the invitation came at this point. It's wild. And so here we are gathering in our community, in our stories, and somehow leaving a trace for the future generation of what that is like to somehow battle. Or when I say battle, because there is a purpose to that. There is a purpose to recognizing, at least for me, my purpose was to recognize the parts of me that's just been so fearful that it thinks that that's the reality. So I had to battle out of it. and out comes the original authentic voice. And so just the timing of all of this and recognizing that there is this external time and then there is my own rhythm and my own divine time is empowering. It is truly empowering. I still don't know how that worked out, how the words came out. And so using that experience and juxtaposed to how easily people could just write a prompt and blah, and then there it goes. Meanwhile, I felt like, holy crow. Like, what the heck is happening? What is happening? And just being shown images that I really truly did not have the words for, but trusting the timing, trusting the forces, the energies around me, just kind of holding space and weaving this possibility through. I reached the peak, and like, I reached the peak. And as you were saying, Mary, like you're in observation, the material words, okay, and that I can actually somehow catch those words and materially put it all together. And so I don't know if I eloquently described
Absolutely,
it.
you absolutely did. And I think the other
Yeah.
piece of this, what really stands out for me and what you just shared is, this authenticity that exists inside all of us. And we've been conditioned, and we can look in, to society when we look at what's happening in terms of what's being generated now, where even as a writer, being able to tap into the words to still stay committed and connected to our heart, to speak and to know that yes, there's a vulnerability about it because we're putting ourselves out there, but it's possible. It's possible for all of us. We all have a story, we all have a voice, and we all have a truth inside of us that is looking to be expressed. And I love how you brought this in. And you just, how you're writing this thesis of your life because you are really looking at yourself, at your behaviors, at your conditioning of what's true for you. Where do things land, and being very conscientious in terms of how that is shaping the choices you're making going forward as well. And so I love that. And when you look at just writing and bringing this story, it's like, I know you surprised yourself. You're like, whoa, where did this come from? And I think that's an important message for a lot of people that are listening here, because there are so many women. And I know you guys, you might resonate with it. You might even know people in your own life that just don't feel like they have a story to tell, or what's happened is just, it happens to everyone. They downplay it in some way. Have you guys, you discovered that, Patricia? You're nodding and agreeing with that.
Well, I mean, that's the story of my life. Is like not thinking that I had anything to say, that I truly, like, there was no value, there was no worth in anything that I had to say. And then you pick up a pencil, and like Barry, it just all comes out, and it is me. It's not like, it's not like it's outside of me. It is me. But it's so much bigger than Patricia Scott. I mean, it's just so much bigger, and it's so and I love what you said about authentic, is like, boy, I told the truth. I told the truth that, this happened, and boy, does it look amazing on paper. In my heart, it didn't look so good.
Right. Oh my God, I love that. It looks amazing on paper. In my heart, not so much. And I think
But now,
right? Yes,
it's shifted.
yes.
Yeah.
Yes, it's so beautiful, but I think that's how we downplay ourselves. And I think we can go back to, what Rita had shared earlier too, is just that fear, that secrecy of how we hold on to things as well, right?
Yeah, I don't want anybody to know I feel like this.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, because I'm wrong in some way. Oh, no.
Yes. Yeah. And I think, and again, I'm just put, out in conversation here when we look at it, it's just like, we all do that. And I think this is again where we look at in some ways maybe judge or consider ourselves as being isolated. Nobody else, our story doesn't matter, or the very fact that, I need to be over this already, or these variables that come in the fact, well, I can't share this because I need to keep it secret. But it's like we're
Mm-hmm.
holding we hold back, and it's only I always look at that as this energy that's only poisoning our own system. It's only, and you
Mm-hmm.
said it so eloquently when you look, it doesn't look so good on the heart, but when it comes out, there's beauty in that. There's beauty in the transformation, there's beauty in the words of it. And so when we look at it, it's just like here you guys all are. You're coming into this place, you're sharing your story, or we're going to be published. And what I would just so curious in terms of your insight and your perspectives in terms of what this has done for you, but more importantly, what advice do you have for people that are other women that may be holding back in some way because their truth might be not a fear of revealing their truth, or their truth might upset someone, or maybe they have, again, feeling like they don't have anything to offer. I'm just so curious from you guys going through this experience and moving into publication, what advice you would have for them or words of wisdom you have to offer.
I start that
Oh,
if that's okay, Bonnie.
jump right in. Yeah.
I believe in the power of intention. So as a woman sharing a story that is, that is ugly, that is hurtful, that is deep, that is tragic, all those words that we can put to it, there is, what is my intention? Is my intention to heal and empower myself and other women, or is my intention to hurt those who have hurt me? I think if we can answer that and say, this is about healing. I'm sorry if it hurts you. I can't control that for you, but I send you love, and I hope that, in this book, focus not maybe on how, the trials that we've been through, but focus on how we heal. Focus on
Yes.
the individual steps
Yeah.
we've all taken here,
Yes.
because this book is going to be so powerful. I just have this feeling that we are going to touch lives in a way we never ever dreamed we could. And so please, though, remember, what is my intention with what I am doing here?
So important. That's beautiful because it is, and I think, it's again, we focus on these bad things that happen, and we do it. It's part of our human condition. We look at these bad things that happened, and we get into sometimes our own poor me syndrome, or other people come at us, and we're not looking for the sympathy. We're not looking for the empathy. Where these invitations are, but look at the miracle. Look at the miracle that's taken form here, right? And that's what we're
Mhm.
celebrating. So I love that. What beautiful advice on that. The intention. Oh my gosh. Mary, you were also going to jump in at that point. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. There's a few things. One of them is, it goes back to self-love and the fear of being judged by others. And we all have a story. Um, we women particularly, I think, worry about judgment. Are we thin enough? Are we pretty enough? Is our hair shiny enough? Our eyelashes? We worry so much, not just about outward appearance, but we got to pretend that we're the superwoman and to be vulnerable. And I guess I really wanted to say that even though some of the things I've talked about, I haven't got it all together. I still have days of struggle and depression, or judging other people,
Yeah.
or yelling at somebody in traffic and I go, oh, okay, there goes that. you know so, like, it's not about being perfect, but it's about, it goes right back to what Rita said. It's your intention. My intention when I go in my car or wherever I go is to be a loving, kind individual. And when I'm not, it's in your face, and then but you have a choice. And I also, I think I might have even said this already about the self of judgment really goes back to self-love.
Yes.
And if we really loved ourselves, we wouldn't be so worried about what other people think. And I think self-love for me came out of writing this, because I put it all out there. I put
Yeah.
all my skeletons and my dirty laundry out in this chapter, and not all of it even actually,
Right.
but
Yeah, we've got more. We've
you
got
know,
more.
Yeah.
yeah, there's more. Anyways, we you put it out there, and it makes you vulnerable. But you know what? I love myself enough to know that
Yes.
person wasn't. I'm not that person anymore. And even when I was, I got a chance to love her as I wrote the story
Right.
because
Right.
I didn't love her. I
Yes.
was ashamed of her. I berated her. My inner voice. Those I almost called my thing the voices inside my head, but I think that's taken somewhere. Somebody wrote a book about that already. But the voices in our heads that beat us up for just the smallest little things we do. That's one. And my focus was, how do you do self love? How do you love yourself? And one of them is just be real. And as Barry said, be authentic.
Yes.
And Rita alluded to that as well. But anyway, sorry, I don't want to take up too much
No,
time.
it's but it's valuable. No, you're not. And it's so valuable because it's so true. And I think you said it so brilliantly as well, is because we are all imperfect. That's a part of being human. And to try to reach some level of perfection, we only end up really, crucifying ourselves, feeling the insecurities, we're not measuring up. And at some point we have to, and I love that, you look back and you love that person that you were. And that's just it. Compassion for ourselves says now we're in a position where we can express and extend compassion to others. When we're no longer in judgment of ourselves and we're fully in love with who we are, all of the imperfection, now we're in a position where we can be more accepting and loving and gracious with other people as well. We're less in judgment and more in love. And that's such an important part of the equation. Barry, I want to make sure, and Patricia, I want to make sure, give you an opportunity to answer a little bit here before we wrap things up too.
So for me, I would say to recognize that fear is the way through. That fear, if we see it as a timestamp of what was, we can actually bring ourselves to a point of adjusting the narrative and bring ourselves back to the present moment and open ourselves to another possibility. So that would be my thing. Not so simple as it just came out through me, but that's I think what we can do. Like we can somehow recognize fear as the timestamp and the way through.
Yes. I love that because that's what fear is for me too. I always know, and I say it time and time again, if I'm freaking out a little bit and I'm falling into fear over anything in my life, it's a sure indication that I'm on the right path. It's just the ego, my belief systems, my conditioning that's interrupting it. And so I always know if there's fear there, then this is the step forward. This is the way through for me. And so being able to recognize that, like you said, it's not easy. It's not easy to step through that, but it is the timestamp. It's like, here you go. This is your opportunity now. So Patricia, before we wrap up.
Yeah, what Barry said is so important because it's we don't think we have anything to say. We are fearful. And if I were to give one piece of advice, or when I talk to somebody about taking this program, is that yes, it's terrifying, and yes, it's hard, and yes, the healing is deep, 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 deep. And I would always tell people that in this program with you, Bonnie, and with Michael, I don't know if he's going to continue, but this is a safe place to do this work. Yeah. And, the love that I have for every woman on the screen and then the others is tremendous. And I have throughout this entire process been totally supported. These women have seen me cry. These women have held my hand. These women have texted me and said, "Hey, how you doing?" This is a very safe place to do this kind of work, and the healing is tremendous. Absolutely tremendous. It will change your life.
Community is everything. I think I'm such an advocate for community, for healing, a community to be able to be seen, to be heard, to be held.
Mhm.
We can't do this work
We
ourselves. We
can't do it
certainly can't.
alone.
And community is everything. So I wanted to, before we go here, I also want to make sure if you are wanting more of these amazing women to come online, have a little fun with us, and to be inspired, we are doing an online retreat for elevated resilience coming up on December the 6th. We'd love for you to attend. It's our online book launch, and we are all going to be, of course, there. All the authors from the book. It's like, consider it an online retreat. It's this opportunity to get up close and personal, to have some experience together, and to really move into and be a part of community. And so we welcome, of course, all of you to our community, and hope that you will look at being a part of this special day with us. Yes, so great. I want to thank each and every one of you for being here. I know coordinating time zones and making this all happen is not always easy, but I truly love and adore all of you. And I'm so excited for this book to be in our hands. Thank you so much for sharing your truth, for being, for the willingness to be the light that you are in the world, because our world certainly needs more of that. And for all of those of you who are tuning into today's show, thank you as well for being here. I will be here next week, same time, same place, and look forward to that conversation. Bye-bye for now, everyone.